You must think I'm knucking futs. But remember, I knew that before you did. I would love to see countries around the world rectify themselves by being component parts of supranational organizations. Wouldn't it be wonderful? This may be a hypothetical video, but it comes from a person who listens to and watches. Well, put it this way, it comes from a person that is subject to a barrage and bombardment of videos of bad news about Thai immigration. When did this idea of nationalism and sovereignty, when did this first emerge? Supranationalism. What the hell is that? It's not super, it's supra. Some tremendously ignorant commentators commentate on supranationalism, and instead of saying supranationalism, they say supernationalism. There's a big difference. Both the terms super and supra come from Latin. The definition of supra is above, beyond, and transcending, like the Toyota Supra, while the definition of super refers to something that's over, above, or excellent. The European Union is not a supranational organization because it's not excellent. In this video, I'm asking the question, what would happen if Thailand joined a supranational organization? And what would it mean for you and me? Let's look at the institution that's already there. ASEAN, or ASEAN, whatever way you want to say it. ASEAN is nothing like the European Union as such. ASEAN is a political and economic union of countries, whereas the European Union is more integrated in terms of currency, freedom of movement, and everything else that goes with that. As I said, the European Union is the only example of a supranational organization anywhere in the world. But you see, the reason I thought of making this video was comparing the European Union with ASEAN. And in light of the visa restrictions that are being imposed in Thailand at the moment, I was saying to myself, how much easier would it be if Thailand was part of a supranational organization and the restructuring of ASEAN could do that? This may be a hypothetical video, but put it this way, it comes from a person that is subject to a barrage and bombardment of videos of bad news about Thai immigration. When did this idea of nationalism and sovereignty, when did this first emerge? You are a sovereign entity. I am a sovereign entity. But we live within a sovereign entity. And two sovereign entities cannot exist within each other. One of them has to give way. So we surrender our sovereignty as individuals to live in a community that's ruled as a sovereign state. Sovereign states only came into existence in the 18th century. It's a relatively new concept. Before the mid-1700s, people identified as part of their village. This idea of nationalism didn't exist. This is a modern phenomenon. Let's have some music, shall we? To answer to all those who have very kindly inquired as to the condition of my abdominal disorder, it has more or less completely rectified itself. I would love to see countries around the world rectify themselves by being component parts of supranational organizations. Wouldn't it be wonderful? Nationalism is absolutely nothing to be proud of. The fact that I've got an Irish passport, the fact you have an American passport or a Canadian passport or an Australian passport or a Thai passport or a Cambodian passport or whatever passport you have is a complete accident. And accidents are nothing to be proud of because they're accidents. Just think how good it would be if we lived in a place that was a supranationalist institution or organization or group of countries, whatever you want to call it. How wonderful it would be. No more visas, no more passports, complete freedom of movement to go and do and act in any way you see fit or saw fit or would see fit. You would be as free as you would be or are in your native country, even though it's a complete accident of birth that you belong to that native country. I can't be proud to be an EU passport holder because it's an accident. But I can feel privileged, and I am privileged, and I do feel privileged that I'm an EU passport holder. I've got a passport that renders me at one with every other EU citizen and allows me complete and utter freedom of movement and freedom of domicile in any part of the European Union. It's absolutely wonderful. And I say and I feel it's a shame that other jurisdictions around the world don't congregate into the same kind of institution. It would do away to a degree with certain forms of elitism, because we'd all be as equal as each other, as I am, as you are, if you've got an EU passport. Do you know, if ASEAN became a supranational organization, it would be the third largest economy in the world. It would be the fourth largest economy in the world. Imagine that. Imagine the power. Imagine the honor. Imagine the wonderful experience its citizens would have of being in such a huge and powerful entity, being part of a huge and powerful entity. But you see, it wouldn't work in East Asia because of the fact that a lot of the countries in ASEAN, like Thailand, are underdeveloped. And some of the countries are very, very, very developed, like Singapore. So you'd probably have mass movement of people from developed regions from undeveloped regions into developed regions, just as it's happened in Europe. But you see, Europe itself doesn't have that diversity of rich and the poor, but we've imported it because of the EU's policy on immigration. I'm not going to get into that one because that is a hot potato, to say the least. I for one am all for immigration, but controlled immigration. But if you were part of a supranational entity, you wouldn't worry about immigration because you wouldn't have to be an immigrant. You wouldn't be on a non-immigrant visa because you would be part of the entity. And here's me saying in my last video that I don't do groups. I don't do groups. But when it comes to it, I am a sovereign entity in myself. But I can't survive alone. I have to relinquish my sovereignty to another sovereign entity. And in doing so, I surrender a lot of my freedoms. That's the price you pay for being part of a supranational entity, or even just a national entity. In order to live in a society, you surrender your sovereignty to another sovereignty. You must think I'm knucking futs. But remember, I knew that before you did. So that's the wow bar behind me. It's 6 o'clock in the evening and it's open, but it's a bit early for me. But you know something? It's never too early to consider supranational institutions and organizations and entities. We'd all be better off if we got rid of borders. We'd all be better off. Some would be more better off than others. So the supranational EU benefits the citizens of the EU, and is national, but it wouldn't be natural for them, but it would be a national thing, a supranational, national, but a supranational ASEAN would benefit the citizens of ASEAN and would probably benefit us as well. God, I'm on the roadside again without my task cam, so I better hold the microphone closer to my gob, to my mouth. But you see, wouldn't it be wonderful if we were in a supranational, but wouldn't it be wonderful if we were in a supranational Thailand today in 2026? We wouldn't be answerable to the immigration laws of Thailand. We'd be answerable to the immigration laws of the wider community, just like the European Union. And they could have it as strict as they want, like they do now, or as unstrict as they want. But it would give us a lot more options, because we would live, or we could live, in any member state under the same set of circumstances. Wouldn't that be lovely? But you see, everything is hypothetical. This is a hypothetical video because what we're talking about is completely hypothetical, but tomorrow is completely hypothetical because you don't know where you'll be tomorrow. You don't even know if you'll be here tomorrow. So any plans you make for tomorrow are completely hypothetical. So that validates this video. It's as hypothetical as your life is, or my life is. So what's wrong with looking at something in a different way? Or doing things in a different way? Just like me, your flamboyant dancer. Yes, indeed. I bring you controversial. I bring you interesting. I bring you entertaining videos. Absolutely. And I'm not knucking futs. You might think I am, but maybe you are too. And if you, as we said earlier in this video, it's a hypothetical video. But you see, it's not as hypothetical as you may think. Did you know that Texas only joined the Union in 1845? On the 29th, was it? Yeah, the 29th of December, 1845. That's not a long time ago. So things change. The Czech Republic was part of Czechoslovakia. Slovakia and the Czech Republic were one country less than 20 years ago. Or was it 30 years ago? Well, it was recently. The map of Europe has changed completely since the turn of the 19th to the 20th century. And in 100 years from now, it'll have changed again. Nothing lasts forever. And what I'm talking about as being hypothetical in this video could very likely and probably will take place. In my educated view, I think the day of the nation state has had its day. Or the nation state has had its day. You've got monetary unions in Africa, Cameroon, and I don't know who else. They have the C franc. They've got a monetary union. I don't know how many countries are involved. Well, I can check it now. I'll check it now just to avoid any negative criticism. How many countries have the C franc as their currency? The C franc, or the CFA, is the official currency of 14 countries in Central Africa, divided into two interchangeable regional versions. The West African CFA and the Central African CFA. I didn't know that. You probably didn't know that. But that's a monetary union. So you have these unions like ASEAN and the CFranc, the 14 West African countries, the European Union, the United States of America, although the United States of America wouldn't qualify as a supranational entity because they're culturally the same. They weren't an amalgamation of different cultural entities. It's more or less the same. But it doesn't have to be an amalgamation of different cultural entities or cultural entities that are similar. It can be just a huge amalgamation of countries coming together. And in the future, that's what's going to happen. That is my view. That is my view. And it may not be a case that passports will be done away with, but there'll be a lot less passports because you have these huge economic and political unions like North America, let's say, Canada, the United States, Mexico, let's say, and then South America, that's 2. And then you'll have China, as in all of the Indochina Peninsula, meaning Thailand, Cambodia, and all the rest of them, as 1. We'll probably end up in 100 or 200 years from now with about 5 passports, powerful international passports, and about 5 supranational entities. That's my view. Maybe there'll be somebody watching this video in 2226, and they'll probably put up on the comments who's watching this in 2226, because what he says has come true. It's not as hypothetical as you may think. It's probably less hypothetical than your tomorrow is, and my tomorrow is. We won't be around to see it, but I can tell you it's coming, because the day of the nation state is on its way out. That's my view. But if there's one thing that isn't on its way out, it's this channel. And I'm going to bring you back another wonderful video very soon. If you haven't done so already, make sure you click that like button, the share button, subscribe button. Do all those wonderful things, and I'll bring you back another wonderful video very soon. Thanks for joining me. Let's have a look at the well bar as it prepares for another wonderful night.